Hello guys, welcome back to another Android fragment tutorial. In today's episode we are going to learn about how to establish a communication between two Android fragments. The direct communication between two fragments is not possible. A fragment communicates with another fragment through an Android activity. Also, we have to define some interfaces on the fragment to establish the communication. Okay, so here I am going to create a simple Android application that will show you how to establish the communication between fragments in Android. Okay, so here we need two fragments on this layout. So here I am going to add the first fragment. So first create the layout of the fragment. Create a new layout resource file. I name it as fragment 1 layout and click OK. Okay, now I am going to make the design for this fragment 1. Okay, now here I finished the design of fragment 1 that contain an edit text and a text view and a button. So here is the XML file. Here is the edit text with ID name, and here is the button with ID submit ID. Okay, so here the user enter his name through the edit text, and we have to display the name in the other fragment. So now we have to create a class for this fragment. So right click the package and create a new Java class. I name it as fragment 1. Click OK. Extends fragment. Override the onCreateView method. First create an object of view class equal to inflator dot inflate. Specify the layout r.layout dot fragment 1 layout. Now specify the view group. It is container and false. And finally return the view. Okay, now we have the first fragment. Now we need another fragment to display the name. So create a new layout file for the fragment 2. Create a new layout resource file. Name it as fragment 2 layout and click OK. Okay, now here I am going to make the design for the fragment 2. Okay, now I finished the design of fragment 2 layout. Here this contains two text view, and here I display the username using this text view with ID display name. Okay, now we have to create a Java class for the fragment 2. So right click the package and create a new Java class with the name fragment 2 and click OK. Extends fragment. Override onCreateView method. First create an object of view class view equal to inflator dot inflate dot layout dot fragment 2 layout view group container and false. Okay, also return the view, return view. So now we have two fragment 1 and fragment 2. In fragment 1 we have an edit text. So the user type his name, and if the user click the submit button, we have to display the name in fragment 2. So in fragment 2 I add a text view. So by using this text view I am going to display the username. Okay, So now we have to add these two fragments into the activity main.xml file. So go to the activity main.xml file, remove this text view. First change the relative layout into linear layout. Specify an orientation for this layout. Android orientation into vertical. First specify a title for this activity. Text view, width is match parent, height is wrap content, with some text. Android text fragment communication. Android text appearance into Android text appearance large. Android gravity into center. Specify some margin at the top. Android margin top into 20 dp. Okay, fragment communication, we have the heading for the activity. So now we have to add the two fragments into this layout. So here I am going to add the first fragment using fragment tag. Width is match parent. Specify an height of 300 dp, because on the fragment layout we specify the height as 300. Here the height of this layout is 300. So specify the height is 300 dp. Now specify an ID for this fragment. Android ID equal to, I name it as plus ID fragment 1. Now specify the class name for the fragment using name attribute. Android name equal to, this is fragment 1. Put some margin at the top. Android margin top into 10 dp. Yeah, it causing rendering problems because the fragment is loaded at the runtime. Okay, so now we add the first fragment into the activity main.xml file. Now we have to add the second fragment. So copy this fragment and add a second fragment. Change the margin into 20 dp. Change the ID into fragment 2. Also we have to change the fragment class. It is fragment 2. Okay, now we have the two fragments available on the activity main.xml file. So first thing, when the user enter his name using the fragment 1, and when he click the submit button, we have to display the name on fragment 2. Okay, and the two fragments are available on the main activity. So first we have to get the name entered by the user. So go to the fragment 1 class. Here we have to create an object of edit text. I name it as edit text. Now we have to initialize this edit text. Also we need an object of button. I name it as button. Here the ID of the button is submit ID. This one, submit ID. Okay, go back to fragment 1. Okay, now we have to initialize the button and the edit text. So first here I am going to initialize the edit text. Edit text equal to view dot find view by ID r dot ID dot submit ID. Typecast this one into button into edit text. It is not submit ID, it is name. Yeah, now we have to initialize the button. So button equal to view dot find view by id r dot id dot submit id. Typecast this one into button. Okay, now we have to create an on click listener for the button. So button dot set on click listener, new on click listener, and get the name entered by the user string name equal to edit text dot get text dot to string. Now we have to pass this name into the second fragment. So a fragment can communicate with another fragment through an activity. Okay, now we have to create an interface on this fragment to establish the communication with the other fragment. So here I am going to add an interface. So public interface. I name the interface as name set on name set listener, and specify an abstract method public void set name with some string argument, string name. Okay, and for get the implementation of the interface, we have to add the on attach lifecycle method of the fragment. So on attach. Also we need to create an instance for the interface on name set listener. So on name set listener, I name it as on name set listener. Okay, so now we have to initialize the instance from this method on name set listener equal to activity. Typecast this one into on name set listener. Okay, insert this one in try catch block. This will ensure that the activity implement this interface, otherwise it will cause an exception E. Okay, so now we have the interface. So now we are going to communicate with the other fragment. So we have to implement this interface on the main activity. So go to the main activity and implements on name set listener. Now we have to override the method. The method is set name, and click OK. Okay, now we have the override method on main activity. Now we have to create a method on fragment 2. So go to fragment 2. First we have to create an object of text view. So text view, I name it as text view. Now go to the fragment 1 layout, fragment 2 layout. In fragment 2, here we have this text view. Here I am going to display the username using this text view. The ID for this text view is display name. Okay, go back to fragment 1, fragment 2. Now here I am going to initialize the text view. So text view equal to view dot find view by id r dot id dot display name. Now typecast this one into text view. Okay, so now I am going to hide this text view dot set visibility into gone. This will hide the text view. Okay, now I am going to create a method here to communicate with the other fragment. So public void update info with a string argument name. Okay, now go to the fragment1.java. So if the user enters some name on the layout and if he click the button, we got the name in this variable's name. Now we have to pass this variable name into the main activity using the interface, because the main activity already implement the interface and override the abstract method setName. So now we have to call this method setName from the fragment1. So go to fragment1 and using the for calling the override method on main activity, you can use this instance variable for the interface on nameSetListener. So on nameSetListener dot set name and pass the variable name. This will pass the name value into the main activity. So in main activity, the value got it here in this argument name. Now we have to hand over this data into fragment2. So first we have to create an object of fragment2 here. I name it as f2 equal to get support fragment manager get fragment manager dot find fragment by id r dot id dot our fragment 2 id is fragment2. Okay, this is typecast into fragment2. Okay, now we have to call the update method on fragment2. So f2 dot update info and pass the name. Okay, now we finish the coding. Now we can run the application. Okay, before going to run the application, we have to update the information on the update info method. I forget that one. So text view dot set text welcome and specify the name. Okay, also finally make the text view into visible. Text view dot set visibility into visible. Okay, now we can run the application. Okay, now we have the application available on the virtual device. So this is fragment1 and fragment2. So now here I am going to enter a name on fragment1, PRABEESH RK, and click the submit button. You can see now the data is now passed into the fragment2. So for establishing a communication between two fragments, you have to use an activity. The direct communication between two fragments is not possible. So here in this case on fragment1, I create an interface called onNameSetListener, and that contain an abstract method called the setName. And in main activity, I implement that interface and override the abstract method. So from the fragment1, by using the abstract method, I pass the information into the main activity. So from the abstract method on main activity, that means the override method, I pass the data into fragment2 and display the data in fragment2. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.